Welcome back to Car Mechanic Simulator 2021. Today's episode's a little bit different. So I wanted to have a look at the Nissan DLC cars. In fact, I want to do this for every DLC. But to find them in the junkyard is down to luck. So instead I thought we'd do customer orders. Now this took me hours to get all 4 of the Nissan cars, but here we are. So this is us, customer orders, Nissan cars. And we start with the 2008 Nissan 370Z Nismo. Got a little bit to do on this car. Poor brake performance, gearbox, hard to control, and we've got to increase the tuning. This gives us a chance to look at these new cars, but also a chance to fix them at the same time. Yeah, we've not been doing many customer orders recently, other than story cars. We've focused on building our own and chucking around the high-speed test track and the racetrack for our leaderboard. So unusual to be fixing cars again, but like I say, I wanted to just showcase the DLC cars in some way. The chance of us finding them a lot, or finding all 4 quickly, would be very difficult, and even this took me hours of waiting to actually get them to show up as customer orders, but we did it. And we're going to try and do this at every DLC there is. And by the time this episode is airing, because this was recorded a while ago, we will have more DLCs out. So we are going to try and do them all. They will take a little bit of time, so they may not come out straight away after DLC releases, mainly because I have to wait until the cars show up in customer orders, which slows us down a little bit. But here we are. This is the Nismo. So the engine looks nice. We found a few things by doing the quick check over and all the tests. Doesn't look too bad. There's a few little issues. Full brake performance is easy enough to fix. The big thing will be the increased tuning. We're going to take it to a test path just to see if we can find any other issues. And this is what the test path showed us. Brake pads, rear suspension, upper arm, caliper, brake pads, brake disc. Fairly simple stuff, nothing we haven't done before. So as I say, the plan is to showcase the DLC cars really more than anything else. And then hopefully we'll find these at some point somewhere, and we'll be able to do them up ourselves and put them around the test track and the top speed track, so we can actually put a lap time on the board for them. That'd be quite interesting once we get to them. But we'll start with the Nismo, and we're looking for the brake issues first. So we're going to take the wheel off. The detail on the DLC cars compared to normal cars is immense. There's a lot more detail on the engine. The parts that are just for that car are incredible. So there's lots of good things about the DLC. Looking to see if there's any other issues here. Obviously we can see the steering arm, while with this side you may as well take off the inner tie rod and the outer tie rod. That gives us access to it. Looking at the rubber bushes, just to be sure, I think we're okay. Feels an age since we actually fixed the car for someone else. Left front now, we're still looking at the brake issues. We're not sure which side they're on. We're going to try and find them as we go. Brake discs look fine. Brake pads look okay, but front steering knuckle, not so much. Which means we've got to take everything off anyway just to get to it. So wheel hub cap comes off. You can take the brake disc off. And the wheel hub bearing. The front wheel hub. We can already see the gearbox is gone. Front axle, and there we go. We're going to take all these little bits off as well. The outer tie rod, just to be able to get to this. Inner tie rod, but that needs to come off anyway because of the suspension. The steering rack. Now, front shock absorber needs to come off, but before we can do that we need to do the sway bar. I think there's an issue with the front shock absorber anyway, so that has to come off no matter what. Lower suspension arm I would have said next. Yeah. And there we have it. That's the front steering knuckle. A can now come off. So as I say, we can see the gearbox is no good. That's something we'll have to get to. But I'm just trying to focus on the brakes for the minute. Now, I think we need to take the wheel off to get to anything. That's the downside. Everything else, brake-wise, looks okay. Can we get to the part we need to fix? It is just there. The sway bar, rear end link. We can indeed. I think everything else looks good. Nothing else looks like we need to sort it out. Perfect. So rear right now. And I think we can see the caliper's gone. The brake disc is gone. I'm not sure about the brake pads. Yeah, I think brake pads have as well. This could be the last of our brake issues on the wheels themselves. Yeah, brake disc comes off. At least that's a free fix. Anything else that we can see? Yes, the upper arm definitely needs sorting out. And there we go. Just having a look. What else we got? So steering rack, sway bar, rear end link we've done. We've got those off. Front spring, front steering knuckle A, rear suspension upper arm, we've got them off. ABS module we haven't touched. Caliper, disc, pads. One undiscovered brake part. So that's something we're keeping an eye out for. Clutch plate we need to do. Clutch release bearing. But that's to do with the gearbox, and we know we need to take that off anyway. So we're going to head towards the gearbox. We need to take the drive shaft off first. And then we will take the gearbox off, and then starter motor first. Mustn't forget the starter motor. And then we can take off inside that. And then the only thing is 2 more brake issues. And actually from this angle we can already see what we're looking for. It's the brake, the ABS pump and the ABS module, I think, in the top right. We just caught a glimpse of them. Maybe the issues. So we probably have found everything, I believe. But whenever I've said that, I've sometimes got it wrong, so we've got to be a bit wary. And we still need to increase performance. But we've got all these parts. Take the firewall off, and we're going to go off and fix a few of them and come back and hopefully put it all back together. So everything is fixed that we could. We had to buy new some parts, but most of it's been done. We can all put them back on. And then we'll deal with the actual stuff in the engine bay. So the ABS module and ABS pump. There's no point putting the car up and down if we can avoid it. So brake pads go on, brake caliper. We'll put one of the older ones on, it doesn't have to be the new one. And then the wheel can go back on as well. And I think that's everything this side already done. So rear left. Trying to remember what we took off and where it was, that's the big bit. There was a thing, a little bit inside, there we go. The sway bar rear end link is back on. Wheel can go back on, tyre can go back on, we don't need to do anything else there. Brakes will all fine this corner. So now we can look at the front left. This had a few extra bits to do because we've got to rebuild the whole front wheel arch. So front steering knuckle but first. We've got the front shock absorber as well. That's all been fixed. The only thing in there we had to replace was the spring. We can now do the sway bar front end link. And then we can put the steering rack back on. Just need to remember to reattach that completely on both sides. Lower suspension arm had to come off just so we get the knuckle off. That's all back. Knuckle cover. Front wheel hub. Okay, let's do the little bits on the edge as well. So inner tie rod. And then we've got the outer tie rod as well. There we go. And then brake disc is all good to go. I love that brake discs are free to fix. It does make massive difference to your profit. More hubcap back in. So then we've got the brake pads. Go for the old ones, they should be fine. Brake caliper, and then just the wheel to do on this side. We're making good progress. I think the Nismo, out of all 4 cars we'll see today, was probably the most work of any of the cars. I was trying to make this video quite short, and obviously I failed miserably. And it's just because of the amount of work the Nismo had. And the others, to be fair, we've managed to do alright, but it was, some of them were quick, some of them were a little bit longer. Luckily no major engine issues. Well, that's a little spoiler in advance, but no major engine issues. Although we will look at the engines of all the cars anyway. So brake caliper back on. Front right tyre back on as well. And I believe that is the brake issues all done. So we can lower the car down. We know we've got the ABS to deal with. We've got to look about tuning as well. That's something I've not thought about actually. Tuning. I've not put the gearbox back on, have I? No, we might as well do it while it's up. So, flywheel. Now the flywheel we didn't need to take off, but we are tuning the car. So would it be worth putting a better tuning flywheel on maybe? It wasn't a part that needed changing. Whilst we're here we need 15 to 20%. That's quite a high percentage. I'm just wondering whether this might be worth tuning up the gearbox side of stuff. I've just got to find them obviously. Would probably be quicker. Oh, we found them. There you go. Clutch plate and clutch pressure plate. Again, they had a percentage, so maybe it's worth putting those on. They need replacing anyway, they can't be fixed. So maybe that's the ideal way of doing this. Flywheel itself can be fixed, doesn't need replacing, but it's something we can fix and use ourselves at a later date. That's kind of the way I try and do the upgrading of the cars, is we try and replace parts that either A, need replacing anyway, or B, we can fix, stick them in storage and use them ourselves. That's kind of my way of doing the upgrading on the cars. So flywheel as well. I think that's a good shout. Is any other gearbox related stuff? We're going to do them. Clutch pressure plate I think will be a good idea. There we go. So flywheel back on. That's an upgraded one. The clutch plate is upgraded. Clutch pressure plate is also upgraded. I don't think you can upgrade the clutch release bearing, but we'd already bought a new one, so that's good. Gearbox now. We did buy a new one. Thinking about it, I probably could have got a tuned one, and that would help with our tuning, but the tuning ones are quite expensive. I'm just trying to get an angle now on starter motor. Just about do it, I think. Don't think I've bought one. Can they be tuned? I haven't seen a starter motor as a tuned part, but I don't know. So let's have a quick look to see. Again, they can be fixed, so it's something we can use again. No, I don't think it's here. It's in alphabetical order, and I don't think they're there. Not by the looks of it. No. That's annoying. It was just a little something I thought of last minute that possibly we could have done. Not that it matters. So starter motor, we can put the old one back on. Doesn't need changing. But that should be everything underneath the car. We've increased our percentage a little bit as well. Sometimes we do the exhaust if it needs changing, just because that helps. But we're going the engine bay itself now. Get a proper look at the engine at the same time. And that is a nice looking engine. But here we are. So we have the ABS module and the ABS pump. Both need fixing. And we'll sort those out, and that should be the last brake issues done once we get the pump off as well. Now we're back, we've fixed everything, although I have something to admit, I failed to fix the pump. The module was too far gone anyway, but I failed on fixing the pump, so I had to buy a new one, so that's going to affect our profit a little bit. While I was there I was having a look at what else maybe we could do, and I'm thinking throttles. In terms of tuning, I think it's got 2 throttles. That's a decent amount of upgrade. They can be fixed, so we can use them ourselves again. Maybe when we find our own Nismo to do up ourselves later on, we should be able to use them, if not before. So we'll take both throttles off, and we'll replace those with tuned throttles. We'll make an already lovely looking engine look even better. And the new ones are going on. Nice and shiny. They do look a little bit different to the rest of the engine. They're a lot shinier, but I think it works, and it does help our tuning percentage. That's the main thing. So second throttle going on. Now I was umming on what to do next, and then I thought air filter. Air filter is a simple one. It's not a massive percentage, but every little helps. And it was an easy one to do. It doesn't cost much either. Just gives a little bit extra percentage wise. And then while I'm doing this, I'm trying to look around and think, what else could we do? So I was thinking intake manifolds. Sorry, exhaust manifolds, not intake manifolds. So both exhaust manifolds on both sides of the engine we're going to replace with tuned parts. That's a decent percentage as well. And then lastly, I'm thinking fuel rails. Now, I probably should have done these before I did the throttles, because to get to these, I had to take the throttles back off. But this was just to finish us off with the percentage needed to finish off. And I think it was a good decision. Annoyingly, I don't think we can fix the fuel rails. I don't know for sure. But even if we can't, they'll go to scrap. They'll add to our scrap when we do 1-star cars. It's better than nothing. I was just trying to get the last little percentage eked out, to be honest. But all in all, a really nice car. We've done just about every job now, I think, bar bodywork. And the bodywork, we're not going to show you. It's kind of one of those things that gets a bit monotonous, so we'll just go off and do it. This is confirming our percentage gained on tuning, 18.15%, so less than the 20% maximum. And with this car, we spent £5,366 fixing it. We were paid £15,562, and we made a profit of £10,196. That's a decent profit for a car I wasn't expecting that much money from. Next, we have the 2008, once I put my teeth back in, Nissan GT-R R35. A V60 HC engine. This doesn't have much to do. Vehicle cannot be started, and bodywork. This is a quick car, to be fair. It's a nice little car. There's not a great deal to it, to be honest. And hopefully we can find the reason it can't be started pretty quickly. So this is the engine. Again, it's got a Nissan branded top, which I really like. I like the detail, to be honest, with those little bits like that. So we're just looking around. Is there anything obvious that we can see that would be the reason for the engine not starting? There's nothing obvious at this point. It's one thing we need. So we'll do a test. Let's start with the scanner and see if this helps us. It might not, but it does. Straight away we can see the spark plug isn't good enough to start the car, and that's the only thing we need to fix. Hopefully it's easy to get to. We'll find out shortly. We're going to speed through the rest of the tests because we're only doing it for XP. We've already found the part, but it is just an XP game for us at this point, which are going nicely. Again, the detail in the engines of the DLCs, and not just the Nissan DLC, the other DLCs we've got videos coming for, the details are fantastic, and I think that's only going to get better as time goes on. Okay, so we're looking for this spark plug. Let's have a look under the ignition coil, and it's the first one we go for. That does not happen often. Normally you'd look for all of them before you find the one you need to take off, but we found it. So we need to replace it. It's in the electronics part. Spark plug. This is the easiest fix of the day, I think. Perfect. Ignition coil, sorry, back on. Done. Now, bodywork is the next job. We're again not going to show you the bodywork fixes. I just think it's a bit monotonous. So we'll just get it done. A nice little car though. Something I'm looking forward to finding ourselves as usual. And hopefully we get a decent build out of it. So this is bodywork all done. So for the Nissan GT-R, we spent £1,449. They paid us £6,534. We made a profit of £5,085. Yes, they paid us £6,500 for one spark plug and some bodywork. I know. Next car is the 2002 Nissan Silvia S15. I keep forgetting the end part. Another i4 engine. And this has poor brake performance and bodywork again. So a nice quick one, to be fair, as long as we find the brake parts fairly quickly. Now, we are going to have a quick look around the engine. And again, twin cam valve engine, Nissan. The extra details, I think, make it look really nice. Whilst we're here, we can quickly check the ABS module and pump. So, we're looking for the brake parts that need replacing. With the extra detail on these DLC cars, it stands out so much. And I know there's the Range Rover DLC is due any time. And obviously these videos are made, so there's a bit of a delay for when we do these to when they go out, so I can stay ahead. So obviously the Nissan DLC has been out a little while, to be fair, but the time it takes to also get all the cars in one go is a bit more difficult. But yeah, we will be looking in depth at the Land Rovers. We've already got the Paganis, the Jaguars, and the... I can't remember what else is coming. There's something else I'm missing. and the Porsche. There was one I was looking for. I was looking for my notes. And the Porsche DLC as well. So we'll do an episode like this for those as well. But they will be delayed from when they launch, just because of the time it takes to find them. Now, back to the job we're actually doing. Brakes parts are coming off. We've found all of them. We've fixed them all. And they're going back on. Nice and simple job. Again, this is a simple one. And once this one's done, we've actually got my favourite Nissan car we've got in the game so far. We'll have a look at that shortly. Now, I've decided not to put the 100% brake pads on again for the same reason we've done previously. They don't need to be 100%. You kind of want to put the 100% back on the wheel you took them off, the no good ones off, just to make sure the percentages work. But I didn't think it was this wheel, so I didn't want to put them back on that wheel just in case it wasn't. There we go. Front left. Brake pads on this one. And this time we'll use the 100% ones. I think the worst ones came off this one. I could be completely wrong, but it just helps you with your percentages. Because if you put one that's lower than the fixed percentage that it tells you that the minimum is allowed, it won't class the car as passed. And they can have parts on there that are lower than the minimum fixed percentage, but aren't on the list to be fixed. So you have to be a little bit wary at times of that. So try and replace like for like where possible. But that's all the brake issues done. We'll go back on. And it is just bodywork left to do now. It is indeed. So again, we'll go off and do the bodywork. We'll come back and we'll talk numbers. And then we'll look at the last car. So bodywork is all done. So Nissan GT-R, the Nissan Silvia, we spent £1,724. We were paid £4,797. Made a profit of £3,073. Not too bad for mainly bodywork. Now, this is my favourite Nissan car by far. This is the 1969 Nissan Fairlady Z. I know. It looks nice. I love the way the bonnet opens differently to other cars as well. It's just that little extra detail. And the engine. The engine is really nice. But let's have a little bit better look at it. So 1969 Nissan Fairlady Z. Small engine, but that's to be expected. So we need to deal with the suspension. Loud and accelerating is generally exhaust. Gearbox issues, and we've got tune the car by 12 to 17%. So a lot of this we should be able to do as we replace parts, because the exhaust, there are tuned exhaust parts. Hopefully they are for the same for the Fairlady. If they are, that's a bonus. Gearbox, we need to have a look at that and see what parts of it are no good. But I think this is doable. So we'll start by lifting the car up. Keep a lookout for the suspension issues. Always forget to click it twice. Always do that. It's always annoying when you go off to get something to put underneath and it doesn't work because you haven't clicked it twice. Anyway, can we take the wheel off and we'll see if there's suspension issues here. We have actually scanned, we've done the examination on the car, so I actually know where they are, to be fair. So the outer tie rod needs to be replaced and the sway bar front end link. So that's two of the issues with the suspension. It may have only been two issues anyway, to be fair. I'm trying to remember. We'll replace these two. That's them two done. You can already see the gearbox is no good, so we've got to decide what we're going to do with that. And actually with the gearbox, we're going to have a little look at the price difference between the standard gearbox and the tune gearbox and see if it's worth it, especially with the percentage gained that we need anyway for tuning. But that is the front left all done. Wheel can go back on. Nice and simple. Okay. You can see the exhaust issue there straight away, can't you? Now, there was a suspension, there we go, it's the rear shock. So we can take that off. I think that's the last suspension thing. I think it was 3, not 2. So we can replace the rear shock. It can't be fixed. So we can just buy a new one. Add it to the shopping list. We can go and buy it. There we go, not too expensive. And we're not really worrying about money now. We're at the point where we're building our own cars for the racetrack and for a leaderboard. So we're not really worried about money, although I don't want to waste it either, if that makes sense. Now, what are we going to go for next? We know the exhaust needs sorting. That's the rear muffler. And there's also another part as well that needs replacing. It's the catalytic converter. Now, I don't know if the rear muffler can be tuned, but the catalytic converter should be able to be. We'll stick them both on our shopping list, and we'll try and see if we can find them in the tuning. Here we go. Let's go straight to exhaust. There we go. The catalytic converter, so that can be tuned. I did think it could be. We need one of those. Now the Fairlady. I don't think I did to my shopping list, did I? I meant to. Can we find the Fairlady one? Because I think it's Fairlady's in its name, isn't it? Which, if we can't find it, I don't think we can just stick a standard one on. It has to be that one. While we're here, let's just have a look at anything else. A rear muffler, isn't it, that we're after? Rear muffler Fairlady Z. There it is. I was looking at the other exhaust parts and not the rear muffler. That's why I couldn't find it. But we found it at last. There we go. Just looking at the others just in case anything else we can think of while we're here. Okay. I don't know what else fits perfectly at this point. So, rear muffler needed replacing anyway, so we're replacing another tuned part. Nice and shiny. Catalytic converter needed replacing anyway. Again, another tuned part. Now, we need to take the drive shaft off because we know we need to deal with the gearbox. So that's fine. So before the gearbox comes off, we need the starter motor. There we go. And as I say, we'll look at the difference between a tuned gearbox and a standard. And if it's financially viable in terms of the percentage gained via tuning, we'll probably put a tuned one in, to be honest. Give a bit of loving care to this old classic. So, clutch pressure plate coming off. And then we've got the clutch plate. Although the clutch plate is okay, it doesn't need replacing. I'm thinking about tuning parts again. Flywheel again looks in good condition. I'm thinking maybe we replace all of it again as tuned. Is kind of my thinking. Finding out the right way of doing it, what's going to give us the best profit, but also get the car to pass. That's the big thing we've got to think about. Okay, let's add shopping list and let's have a look. So, get tuned custom gearbox shop. We don't go in here very often, I must admit. And if we look, compare the price of that. So it's not overly expensive. I've seen worse, to be fair. It's because it's such a small engine. I think that's probably why. Yeah, price difference wise, it's not that bad. It could have been a lot worse. I don't think that's too bad. So I think we'll go with the tuned gearbox. And with our discount, it actually brings it down even more. So that helps massively. I think that's definitely worth it financially to do that. We're going to go for the... what are we going to do? Are we going to do all three or not? I think we will. Clutch plate, clutch pressure plate, flywheel. I think it's an easy, simple thing. Okay, it's a bit of a waste of the clutch plate if it doesn't need replacing anyway. But it just increases the percentage. It's an easy fix. And we're putting a nice new gearbox, tuned one on. We might as well give it the parts to make it work brilliantly. So there we go. And obviously, the only downside is the clutch release bearing has to be the standard. But there we go. Gearbox back on, the tuned gearbox. Look at that. That looks incredible. Starter motor as well. We still need more percentage, so we've got to think about what else we can do. Something I'm always constantly thinking when I'm doing these cars. If it needs tuning, when we're fixing other parts, what else can we do? The more we get used to it, the better. And the same as when we do our own performance cars. So it's just tuning now. And the parts we kind of picked were a little bit different. So we've got the exhaust manifold, which we've done previously on other cars. Nice and shiny, looks good. And then it's this. This is the intake manifold. It looks completely different to anything else we've dealt with. But it was the one that was on there previously. And we've also got a carburetor, which looks completely different to the ones we've seen on the V8s and V12s. So very different. And the air filter we've kept standard. I'm denard, but I don't think we need it, so I think it's okay. So that is that in place, and we've cleared everything. So we'll send the car to the dyno just to confirm, obviously we've done the right numbers. And I've also, no, that's it. I was thinking bodywork, no. So dyno here, and this will show us the correct numbers. There we go, 15.9%. Nice little one. I'm looking forward to doing a Fairlady. I'm looking forward to building one. The performance version will be incredible. So, talk numbers. We spent £3,985 on parts. We actually got paid £13,416. Profit of £9,431. And that is it. That is the 4 Nissan cars that have been added to the game so far. Well, it's a nice little look at them. Obviously, it'd be nice to build them, but we'll come to that when we finally find them ourselves. As always, thank you for watching, and if you're enjoying the series, don't forget to subscribe, and a like on the episode does really help. We'll see you next time.